Yago yangan naulip ilo elgan ralevan rainin. Yana lel garwij kamolo lanich iman menodam jij. Kan karar kainan ramman. Kan kajbaro kainan ngan kejo jalip. Cuy narangan kubaduk ilan rumini arong rongin. Kan kajbaro anani ngan kejo kajojo. Kiloan project ilo ministerio itu bodoh yalwar dok kai melalui erumichirik kan karena NITIJELA kakije boleh minister kakajurut commissioner yang ni yang modok agilar kejabarugian anu apa ya kan pukul kapan schedule elgan relevan rainin dah jadi pun malah odem kemana yaron nungguin hari penro rebo jakdo every pair ilo table inuman CMI President Haraj kapa rejar balin matan jadi kamolo le ro ganai ro karena orang kubah tu kilo elgan relevan rain ini orang itu ber reservoir rain, Jan Ministry on Finance Secretary Ayago kap, Deputy Secretary Rain Andrew, orang itu reservoir rain NITIJELA. Malah berada kamolo lebih Ayago anet ker one man army cerbal kena elgan relevan rain ini be untuk pujian Captain General ya noto kilo sigin yaron ini lo yenin kau di jarang oleh me pereng nganro rong jage yerin kin lo algan relevan rainin da naro ilo ailen kin me number representative ever duri lidada Senator Chairman David Aniduk, Janailup, the word Vice Speaker Isaac Zachariah Jan Highland Lawlap, Miji Duru, Minister David Paul, Jan Kwajalin, to Army Marangu, ever Rugelo Arajan Mille, Senator Chairman Wilbur Rainey, and Barano ever Senator Juan Jan Island Kwajalin, Senator Catalan Kabua. I am LC project Ru Jane, kada yan ay bayan Ru ini tagdan naman. Tablet dengan dia ke dalam Eleginchet yenro charle lagnanan technician rain kamarmari kinjer balgain chejerol dukia ali karge trabai kanujin mor emraya guj replace emngebar walok chujagin atwalik Ministry of Finance jab kagali kinjer balgain jenis sespene aliben yerengkein malok aga perjuangan kamololani kamolol we emodok minister arut minister sagios minister yarwaj kurmanda ot siamaya garge chagar katar toguga kiyo komodok koyena iman kone yaji yen gane armalok ipen green human ministry na kuncuju memalot mencaprot belala japrot dengan kokonan pailu ini maaf
kumaldada chairman adding yang mudah cenana pokona ilo dan ministry yang cegin cala laujan yukure kapkadagan emrage nimrech yuki jelipe yana kuba lo charwaram kamolol gam training kule rodrien kaudejer alip yogoba train ruwela gorin rode rain mataro ilo kamidena an kechimach obijan president cabinet NITIJELA irojoroar ilo moyer honoro emal birojoroar alip arnujina ilenkein rugagiro rujarbarina chigin chala lojan laptada rujuguro nijir ilo chigin chala lojan jan klajugo ilal dada manro ilo college of university ro rujperi ligan clearum kaudijer kajaramanir lo ichino anchugo lo rainin megardai ilum techo melichoko komolgan mogdada kanam karum ledokchon melim an karum jologion rong jagayo an chigin chala lojan ragain chijilim jonim rojake jelipe gan yenin nganam jang marong nidok in ledok kattabargo man chigin chala lojan yo PSS CMI USP Scholarship Grant Loan Board National Training Council ijo me ledo pebago man rugagiro at kali karge jer pakado ko ngachane jilale pajadane an chigin jala lojan ego baale prarir kain perin pen meuripen labada ilo kachema yoman keni jet kamolol gan wayini ajet kamolol ba keni kile awrak in jala lojan chongon ne jidok man chigin jala lojan rage nole lemongol jon million yamor radum jon thousand chiljino pugi chijilum jon go lalim dala labada yana alben pajadane agilo labada dain kwalo ke alaba igujo emenali karo chemme yigchena igujum ke jong ne mon mano jadum pebenado ila barbaminin chuan erro labala po chigin chala lo jen mal bragin ran kajibaro pen worto jen chen gin emrojidok chen ro chibang ge mo jige nar armijin mayo ngan charbalgo ilo chigin chala lo jen po chen maron kagir mol ke chala lo jen kalik chuan armi chon chujugun ber em kajara mon chon la chigin chala lo jen em ragen rejeke lipen elem chon thousand lemabu ilemo lemen rojar balie labada ilo chigin charwalo wan keni em chonin wawin te jalikar ilo anidok chongan chen e jibar redal kellang dada mengo mayen kiene no chigin chala lo jen ko menchugulo em alben program ko chigin ka program mo me kajarbali ngan charbalo ro chele dalok chala lo jen langadada ipen PSS yo ijel lagun chonian rago me etaber alben ailungo chonio me iri bagagen ijel lagunan taber alben ailungo kammane chap charbalin chala lagu jano ai kamane program najiri hajiri nejir ngajina ko ba galib chugul ko chungul juma taujin e kamane program o kenyen nganyen anchugujugun per emerro eno charlo ilo samarogia kameli mem karala kan charbal wari pendro pe rorari dok manekle jao ran marung chugilo munjugulo e kamman em kabelo awro ilo munjugulo yangan yen ko jilang yirim em kamane par charwal ho chat ila wadak chugin jalala jan e tabar ala family kachuju ilawan majali ila paminin ngajane kalimjak pajadane an PSS perberu yon kapego e changan gal lukun ogodak chen pajado lo rota ujun rongul chilu ijo dage elem chet wawen ko mer yalikar em rojan royan lagot em rar ogodak enot cheno man ajri ro nijerim ro scholarship kan chimjon bugi lemngol taujin chen general fund ngana illa lajarak lo pajadane an PSS em najadal man scholarship yo eballang wawen ko chet me rarbar ogodak minai kamele ilo kamele lalo ilo ro taujin em rongol alim yeni jigab chamala chikin chalala jan MPSS yo rar marongen power 1.0 million talago igajen wawen ko me rai arai ujin kajar bali wawen gain rare regalo lo yin kan chiljino million ilan gar changan lang alikar ino cheno an marong no dak chan roto ujin rongul jilu chaniye inaji lajar ka wawen ko rar kamman ba lalim point ro em walling ngan chiljino chuan e chenin chibanga me jadalangan e chibango ngan chugul ho chet ilawun chugul kan kien me emjan tabal chen chimjon bugi radim jon lalim taujin ngan rainin imnaji yin chuan boin lalim radim jon million yo chuan e mangain raile ba najir engane me emjan labala ngan ro point emen yo chuan e herregala gon wanen regagiro em yo me enibarialong labalagun wanen minimum wage ngan chuan point chiljino million kap wawen ko me egar raridok ngan PSS ilawargi lolo jage emerro imoni kurego em chigni kurego wawen ko gain em ra lajrak pen marong labalak ai guje ngan PSS em ilar kamani wawen gain em gar marong tabar bajin marong kajabarok chen wan kien char puk chen ko rarido jen lalgo iligin kap grano kencangani nemen point chilu million ngan ar marong lolo jaga wawen gain ila cha wawini not evargale ma cheno ngai chenat kajar bali chen ngin mal lagot ko chen ne me chono dale na ridok enat ma ilo yin itrodok te em jaril ma godo le pajone nganar chino main jipongo anajiri ro nijirim jebar kamolol kencangani chilu point jon million ilo arere manot ngan kakajol lo ero gin charwal gin em tayo PSS em chikin jalalo gin lor jaga rainin eleng join program ngan podok lemngul rugagi roarjen chugujugun pergo ilugun paran pok leap education leap paran kakajor lok em pok laijen wire reno rugagi ngan kakajor charbal wire pen labalok tokojan ko em chalai per ngan air kading najiri ro nijir ijil lagun en tabar alip chugulo ilo chugujugun pergo wanen wawini nene abu chilungu ro taujin wanen regagi rain ko ba chilubu taujin ilo air pelle chigin jalala echalo kachita karainin jelo erregala gun wanen meur ilo anu gotak elang wawino chuan kamolol bim yang labala wanen regagi ro armi jero ro charbal jene che ngane mandala wangane emen lemongo lo ye e war kali kar erregala bajadana em chene barai uji wawini ilo cha wawini not chala kachiaman kalikar men gain elam konar em jonian wawin ko kam janga lodor jaga em cherbal matanjir gerila e lukun lane chede reserva repair kamane jon etale enod punbun kan chede reserva repair lo chigin chala la ko jana man lukun lane ke rejimai jogo repair el mair pe ba ko rakar ren pokonen ko rakar em rejido dak man katta ber ko rakar man kalek chala lo jan no ailan ke China na wale pitch kamolol kienyo rora charwal pe char kanak jan ACG yo ilotering pada bilar pa menin kamolol ka lo chon tere ngai chalak ene dalam na chenen innem chawi bar pugochet pungdano ap ke kamolol balon wawin rejab kakajolok chalalo janot are kakajolok uino ipenajuru gair puk chalalo jan ainum manair emerikala gair. Okay, Mr. Chairman, Umrain Wan Committee na. Ngayon kamolol gan pajadin payalikar. Ngayon wawin ko may tijayu jin pugod clear tani kadekit. Ilo ar kachiyaman pugod. Organ ceiling na pajan. Iwajan committee na. Rangan NITIJELA pa ko pene pajadin an kienyo. Alikdada. All when wawin gain. Ilo katabarayo ngan ledo chuan charbalin chala lag jano me eyo edolijek ekajur eme ilukun lelok chala lag jan ngan tabara ngan ajuru rein nejit enodan president pa olivi enodum jet mi kairwan nan gainan chala lag jan eje kale mandada ngan chon armit em charamane ngan chon la agi jwa chala lag jan ej meuru ngan lagin komol dada anji pediam em charaman ngan tamine kameng na tojak in kwalak pajadri nam jang em charbal em orang achidoko ngan lewat melelewo
Kamolo minister ilo kapalagwa yar kamolo lalap yam cholo bari melalagun kile awale ba kile minister kene palenu najab kerma jam lewat kile ko arum untuk kile nganiuk kau tu juga malah ben rain lo ministerian ko jerugi kia. Aina kamolo lo kene ilo mol yar no diak ijab kalau ke ilo yarong rong ke ini ciang darong kene no dengan pajatane nambagane jab perkenurugan wawan gojet accomplishment challenges katabarwan bobi jigane imenugin be evorian repodi longan NITIJELA cici takun kenono takan pajatane han bobi jigane ami especially rainin ngai kajitu bajanda chen jab kanujin karbe bolok awen aro kenono penron bocukuli jan chino bodlok tangal gain harga berjalan kerailep, ini dalam jalan minister, harga cakron, pe juta batu mangabo, iru menciri. Aku ngai imarang, ini bayam naga yam jana ke komisioner rame, aku juga mata ke, ini kalau baju war kaji tu ko, cen memberin committee. Finance secretary warga cabrot konan kejalai kari kaga kari awak cabrot dia ngai konan bukonam cujim one mai kana bajan lo Mr. Minister anu tampak konan kecigi yen kanan rangana ilo human ministry nam nai bolincino chano bijnam and commissioner ne niri relok wacabro do kogur mata kemjan CMI position kariri ag elange ema cabro janjane Mr. ina giya katalog yani dengan memberin committee ngai orai kajir jet palai
na kumol chairman en hodam kalikar jadi do dengan nambahane embalen kamjanga jorong jage embumle kajido nambahane alik perveru dion pajadana raberi man mejamiang eleng jet peba jalio dengan presentation aku manage perkara kali kumol
kumolot Oke, saya nak gile karai jeneru cuan ilo NITIJELA. Sana terketelang kedua kan kaji tu kuang ngayor. Cuma malot.
Mondada chairman mingnan mondada nabarum kamole lanit klem kau de jawle brodian kau de jer Penelinan Ministerioan Calalagajan, Minister Cheryl Kap Rain Richard Balipam, Human Division of Department ko Kachuyo, Richard Barinan Nitijela Kap Finance P7AV NTA, Chun Kilanganuk Chairman Kap Rainuan Kamitinan Kachemo, Chun Kilangan Ola Barmajan Mayo. Chairman Nilo Rauni ni Mantada. Pero diyon nampake ilo pa jadin dedok. Ngay merong lelak kacitagina cinuntadangan PSS. Kami jenar ak minister kumarong chuyum par kami lagi cirik idea part CA. Echunian program ko chen US federal. Cibangai ayiro nejirme war majono ko ilo en punir ilo anwalok ilo budget schedule cep kalikar idea pat pigasi nga komaron chojum dedo chirigap te tape ilo korono ko ipena merga campaign negotiation ko jar marun karalangai idea part C pe mo dalak arja prelang eno chuni ancaraman ko ar human koni ni kan lalagain ro agaligan campaign chilu emejan ali karage jamarong bara access programin nga kumarong letok ciri kamela nga arma jana ilang kay ni kitchen programin nga do marong chino roll out eno to kay chilo kay na ere pagalak early education ilo majalin kachito Chuan ngan MISGLP ak scholarship podo mga karalang olip department yung taunin chino nang anila kachito kainin nam kumuwa
the senator member ka jamanwe adara yedo kachito kainara ngan ministry per yecho nge un mandak project
okay.
Kung mereka kacit kanan.
Okay.
Commissioner Cholabur, Minister. Do you need translation? Or you're... Oh, okay.
Save time.
Malot.
Kumala Minister, hindi pagpagchirigan, mijalaga Commissioner, hindi karibakabakala. Kiloan pa dito Senator Kabua, IDA Part B, Ijo Odage, Elang Chen Wim Yerito, Man Kakudabut, IDA Part C. Ilomol IDA Part B, Chinojan, Yagane, Langalak, Chen Long and Chongoralik Chilu, IDA Part C, Ejitokia, Man Karelang, Chen Wong and Chilu, Emjan Ribaba, Ijalagun Wawan, Ijalagun Abalang Chibango, and Madame Chala, Kajitojan, Chibango Jan Ligan. Multilateral donor agency ko World Bank, Asian Development Bank ngan lulu jaga cerwal na may ejalat ajri rejik kaprelang majano yan penir ilo rainin elang chuan and chen World Bank cibang ngan lulu jaga eroganem calalo na igichen autism me ejar matang labalake agait ngan wa kajitu ayat aina ilalangan commissioner payan war kariba walang na jalan matang kumon.
Okay. Komotata, thank you for having us here today. My respects to the chair and ministers and senators here. I'm getting translating services here from Teresa, so I really want to appreciate her, but I am, just to be honest, missing a significant chunk of what's going on, so I'll try my best to answer, and if I'm ignoring a part of your question, please ask again, because it's not intentional that I would ignore a part of your question. The reason why we don't have IDEA Part C is that we don't have some of the required resources in the country to qualify to receive it. So even, for example, like CNMI and some other places don't receive it because of the type of early childhood resources. So we were able to include some financial resources in IDEA Part MILSB. And so you might have noticed in the newspaper recently and on our Facebook that we are trying to recruit for some early intervention specialists and other specialized staff that can help with early intervention for children in the earliest grades from sort of birth to age 3. Thank you.
Komol, you mentioned that we don't have resources that would allow us full access of IDEA Part C. This is the Appropriations Committee. What resources, are the resources attainable? Can we attain the resources in order to provide that service?
It would be great if we could think about that in the long term. I think in the short term, we would really be lacking specialized human resources to address those things. I'd be happy to prepare a report for this committee with a delineation of what those needs are and how we might go about recruiting highly trained specialists. A lot of them are more medical intervention type specialists, occupational therapists, physical therapists, speech therapists, people of that nature, as well as facilities to be able to work with students that have those kind of specialized needs.
Okay, thank you. Kajituin chuan jangan scholarship ngajilolo pajutin kay award chuan aton timinyon pugi lemungol tawin ngay taraktaro merong konono cirikake atonin
Jidok litigation scholarship ngan lugun kali kare wawen nage ejerigal lakoyo chen garang labelok grant award yo NITIJELA manajeri emengana emyan walang lang chen jimyon builem ngon ngan chon point wal ak jidok emengana ilo pajudana char gawe emarongan kalaya kare aja bajidok chuli danganan kumon
Minister, question magdagay? Kaya one man of gear, kaya we mo to alaban radical human ministry, ego ba minister ka commissioner number ramon kajidak shaparat kain kajidak na alaban trainiman, em kariri lock round June, em ngayon round road jane wala jak sangat kelang, kumang Muna kajiduari damani a scholarship to you malad muang.
Yagai, Yogalep, Jerem, Benelnik, Kamolel Kapchidega, Janitor Kudlang. Ilo, Chalamanda Pitina, Gardojan Kamper Moda. Imgia, Mjer, Kabayara, Karangan. Kuela Kuelo, Karchamperio. Langaru Julujan get Japai will of Dok Jen, Kampangan scholarship. Kia Mjer, Ledogan General Fund, that's why it and I made 750 and Ledongan, Kabel about scholarship and the Jukoran. Mol, may work.
Kumol kuno ba chep kail chimyon pugil le mungol tawjini pada eukodak soisin. Okay, mol. Eman Chairman Ronchwen ebenga mol.
Kumol Senator Kadua. Chagiana Kule. Senator Chairman Wilbur Aini pada kena ebolana rongjage Yaron gain Miani the June BYO image quality ministry in a go ball of Radi Rane, totaling Pajatana and FY26, a Chijino million, Chuburam Jungle Chimpion thousand, Robwichin Muro, Chet Manigora Lavim, Tamagana Kagai Vigana and ministry in it. Or you go Oliver Radiga, you know that. Senator Chairman Jojimon Malawat Wilbur.
Kumol, Mr. Chairman, Monokanam Kilegaro Yenin, and Chichu the Kajidik, Lo Ronin Man, Joey and Porquala Gilliam called the Yolip, Rain Darkopa, the Ministry in Gawala and the Java Rain. Yawalem called the youth commitment. Chona Kajidik Chinundara Kitchen and PSS, Laror Juna Rangar Initiative, Kayan Kujan Kunonaga Manda Kitchen, distance learning and Outer Island. Comnaroge Ledo Captain Project Jane, Cheverdogia Kitchen. Our common Kadagin Lo Majorim, Telefaji Longan, Chulu Warla, Outer Island, Alaptada Kitchen. Kadagun Punaban im Konono Menuela, Wadilo, Kilayan Kilachuan and Chilu, Norway to Chirik update mall.
Arjunalen, Ilo hearing gainan, APPRO, Chojim, name your Kamanaka Jidagan, Chojim, all the Muang ever. Nijela by way, Chelawaki Ageni to go to Waga. I'm just Parkajola and Germany way, Ebuyan. I'm going to Chojagona, Chojima Malot.
Okay, I just want to get one point of clarification. Is this asking about the system transformation grant from the Global Partnership for Education?
I don't understand which source, but what I know is there was an initiative at the PSS to have distance learning to the Outer Island Elementary School. So I don't know which source of fund is that, but I'm just curious as to whether, because I don't see the distance learning in the budget outline. If you can do that, please. Thank you.
Okay, great question. We're really excited about this, and in fact, so it was through the Global Partnership for Education. They granted the Marshall Islands about $2.5 million, and the money for that just started flowing about a week and a half ago. And so that grant project will bring digital connectivity to all of the elementary schools in the country. That will include Starlink, that will, for neighboring islands in particular, that will include solar panels in places where there's currently not energy to power the Starlink and the computers. It will also include laptops for teachers and some for student use. That is not in this budget because it will be wholly grant funded for the next 3 years. And then that is in the budget, the full budget submission though, that was submitted through the BCC. There's a tab called Other Grants, I believe. I'll have to look at it, but I want to say it's maybe the 4th or 5th tab at the bottom, and that grant is included there. Yep.
Okay, komunidad Natalie, ewa itu kulimurin loan proyek ni cerwal we kaya melale iluni cibang kadagin lo orderan elap tada ke eja we ruagi lo orderan awe nalak kino program ni jala bayar kadagin tu euro ni jadi kecil pen kap mino ciji ilo kelai wor kem bercowojer John ya berkajidak ilo round John unfunded mandates. Can you explain? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So the unfunded mandates that are listed there include things like when the school lunch program went from $2 per plate to $3 per plate. That was a directive from Cabinet, which I think made a lot of sense because the cost of food goes up, et cetera. We want the food to be more nutritious, but it wasn't accompanied by an increase in the budget ceiling. Another one, for example, was the Minimum Wage Act, which again is really important. We have about 200 of our staff, more than 200 of our staff who earn minimum wage. And so it's really important for them to be able to live better and take care of their family's needs. But again, it wasn't accompanied by an increase in our budget ceiling. And there were many other issues like that one. And so that's what we're referring to as unfunded mandates. So things that came through either cabinet paper or NITIJELA Act that would have a cost to PSS or MOEST that did not receive a corresponding increase in budget ceiling.
So, but then these unfunded have already been funded. Is that correct?
Yeah, the way that we're funding them is through a one-time grant called the Additional Education Assistance Grant. That used to be SEG, but that is going to be depleted in fiscal year 27. And so we're coming up to a bit of a fiscal cliff. So about halfway through fiscal year 27, that grant will be depleted and we'll need additional funding from somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, one final one.
Senator, may mga pagkiri ko na amcholok ko. Ilo iyan nga kot kachidak, yung may yarpa, tiyan nga may rojido ko dyan source kaya chad milawan, char kachiyong kakayay ko dyan.
Okay.
Yung ilo iyan na jito kaya dyan kaya wal kartiyan nga ardo dyan supplemental education grant na may chon time payment, prongoro million na jito nganchalala ko dyan, may mga ba kaya dyan nga kaya wal kaya, ina jadala math kadiyan, lo iya ka na dyan. Dyan jay ko jipot kaya. Higitian Starlink na ilgunaman pagcicabane marong lelo bergagiro ron kadun pujin kelai hak jan war marong lale bergagiro emchugulo ko raja ko pokonair lo charbalin kadun komol
Kulunamol Minister Commissioner. So because maintenance is one of the important aspect of our properties, and you guys, the ministry has a lot of capital I'm lost of word, but you have a lot of buildings and material, so forth, that needs maintenance. So I believe that you have found money for maintenance at especially the track and field, because that is a new facility, and as well as the ECC. I always saw the ECC maintenance, but not the track and field. So please, thank you.
Hi there, really good questions also. So for the ECC and the track and field, we were able to convert positions that used to be like at schools or other places within the PSS and allocate them for the maintenance and the security positions, custodial positions, also for a facility engineer, because the type of facilities that those are is a little bit new for the Marshall Islands, so we didn't have that internal skill set. So Just a quick breakdown, the custodian's cost is $84,904. Same thing, the security staff cost for those two facilities is $84,240 for the year, and then the facility engineer cost is going to be $39,900 for the year. And then there are additional costs for things like MEC, the power, the big lights and those kinds of things. And we're still working with MEC to get some clarity, but we do know that we received one bill from, say, October 1st until December 31st, and that was $124,000. And so it's a huge amount of money, and we're trying to work it out with them to find out, is some of this maybe from the prior period, but there are enormous expenses, and we're committed to finding the money if we can, because we also know that it's really important for student well-being to have access to athletics and other kind of wellness activities.
Como Senator Chairman Wilbur Ainigan Kajiduko Amramban, George Marong Malele, and George Marong Page, former Minister in Finance, Education by Jalata, Ekanonogage, Morgan Kajiduko Am. Euro Chuanan, Chiakajiduk, Kilo Yanin, and Minister Paul, and Chuan Kajiduka, and Monoboy. Ikamana give army in another or Lydia Naiji, Ren Chalaga Ngai follow up, Igijan, Ligabri Ricolo, Chulo Island. Mr. Minister Ngai Kajid Ibdam, a Japan Commissioner on Agriculture on Egypt, Naya Minister and Ajrino Bedi Munjugulo, Ijo, Tregamro, President Aine. O pelen Chinoni, Jardam Lojet, Chorano, Japor, Daglo Shajan Golok, Angan Rainin, a Jangan Kamane, Ijagan Rajar Lomanchulin. Angwe Minister Zagis.
Kumul Chairman and Senator Reddington Kachitagi Nauru. Ilale schedule and repair any wadak, Chulilo, any wadak, a Jaivijan Kakal, Chalakachitak. Imjair Kamane, Kadagam and Tagan Ravich Kamani, Imjan Kaman, well in bit, Mirajuan Malong and I read along and Kamane, Kakalgane, and maintenance and Munjugul and any other elementary. Jadi jauh jen lebih jari-jari, nggak ada jari dalam petakin. Akan alik karban jadian petakin, cara balik air dengan kemana petakin, kerja jauh je penron. Poin maka jalak, kena jalak alik cara balik maintenance kanai, yang kanai jalak kanai jalan kerja kencangan jen kanai kerja dengan jalak jalan bijak kanai jet, kan maintenance, kerja jauh cara balik penron, kerja jalak, kamu kerja jalak cirik, wajan marungan kaya bro. Akan apa lagi yang ngero, kerja tu orang ait, kaman. In bit, Yanadal, Kamal Limbit, and Kagale. More.
Kumul Minister Genuava, Maidamak, Kanan Chorrenan, but our company Gijay which bedded out. I will join 3, Tuyabaramamilo, Tupamana maintenance, and Kamado, Raman company Chorreno. Choran, Kumul, Tijalage. Rajajan Kamane, Renovati Munchulo, Modajan, Lavadan children. Minister Table Paul, Yenin Najam. Awaja Kamani Nambaraman, Senator Chairman David Aniduk.
Kamol Chairman Edding. Yagoyalik, Kalip Chairman, number 9 committee, Minister on Education, Mr. Jackies, Commissioner in Oliver Rain 1, Dragon Rauragan, Chicken Chalalaganolo, Island Kane. For another call of Kalim Kode, Secretary Rain and Chicken Minister on Finance, staff in NITIJELA LC kap rain one staff NITIJELA NTA parnot visa venebi jab lukon lab kachita ke chichot kachita ki chen mela lago char roma jaga kiya jan minister yo igran register re matan one roilo podo an education ai kamolo we elang jo George Marong Cipang Rodom Pokonari, ilo cara balagan rawruk. Yudan kacita kain rajito kocan, ilmu dia rajito kocan, rajar barang ilo lahan kelaju, lo cikin cala lagajan. Cara macam kia ciri overview report dan cara balagan PSS, ilang cedana cilupukui cuma berkaki kai cedeo. Oh calo ber, ni mengoro. Pergi, rajbajan ni jito kom net perlo air, perlo training kongan, kacang kata ber level ko rakar baran meron perlo an kelajar rumum carapal, ngai ijma agar power melo leo, salary kana kacang longan erjang, kuba support ko ngan air net perion, kata menengar net perlo majoroid, nangin Evaluate. Bukui, cili bukui, cimion bukui, ralda bukui tahu je, eh? Ni cuma call laga na. Akai cita kau orang kena kau elang yan pergi rojat, try kanan perlo program ini. Bayar nadal melala kan erakan, wawain salah kau pergi rain merah jidongan, yang training na. Mau orang training na. Akai cita kau mana? Kecil rakakiran ini mengurum rajbajan, tu kalau program lagi yang karo, baru tu kacau lagi jangan perailangan peran ro, roilo cukul kalau data lo other island, mata not mangai kan lo program mangai dengan lunch program ni, kobai kia jangan kerja lang tu breakfast program ni, cuma program lo ban aur, notar karo macam kami lo kajian ministerin, kecil aur kan lo nutrition ko aur data kan ro redik data. Peran merong tabar kelajar rumko pekcala la yang korakar memenin orang an hidup cakala jawan ailing kain kap ngan ajari ron je kaleng kaji tu kan breakfast program na orang kan 2.1 million NH palen cela tu elang yan wawan magatu tu ko merong cipang peran ro ilo air katalo ko ajari ro peran merong dalam kelaj aga cuan na cang la wala kajang aja bar kacang kajar wala yang fantai lo iya ini kal 2.1 million. Jangan orang jaga ciri kami lalai letak tangan train raja orang jaga iya kain kan rebel dana net program kain cara bala kap chain kain kacang mau jangan cikin cala lo kan. Alik darah kan nodi longan ministeran Ejimur Raiwan Minister of Health and Human Services agar alwen pajak daerah yang ceteo radmion persen in overall Pajadan majalin. Ilale juga jen jangan juga apa yang orang jangan jangan kerja lagi. Karangan review gay tarun cimion poin radmion persen in overall pajadu. Pelen kami not mana yang merong alikar. Wawan ko jangan kerja lukun kata baru jen cibang regagi ro ilan kelajar rumro. Ilang regagi cecala wanen ko redi kami yang macam kerja putu kerbaran. Kalau training program kan wajan lain kalau wanen korakar. Okay, paling di pajak jana chairman, coba lekar kaji tu ko aga baru cabar macam mana kamera legal,
Kumul dengan member lain yang program kaji dengan range rare kini human ministry nan education chujim karir legal. Baik, uni neru mandang ani jinman awal ber, kerana jen lelok kaji tu kuar, awal ben kaji tu kuar meraj, kerana kaji tu kipen train wajib dimayar kuwa tu gila dengan rai ni na wak cuj. Orang wak yang cakap.
Okay. Thank you for the questions, Senator Anatok. Before I get to yours, I just want to make sure that you got clarity on the question of how much was allocated for maintenance. So within our PSS budget, there's $1,184,443 that's in there for property and maintenance, as well as a few smaller amounts through some of the other activity codes, and then there's also the infrastructure maintenance fund. So to get to the question of the education leave, so you might be aware that the NITIJELA passed the Teacher Certification Act in 2007, and that act governs who's supposed to be a teacher in the Marshall Islands, and that is managed by the Teacher Licensing Board. And one of the requirements to receive full teacher certification is to have an associate's degree or higher, if you're under the U.S. system like CMI, or to have a diploma or higher if you're under the USP system. And right now we have about 200 teachers that don't meet that requirement. And so the way that we prioritized who's coming on education leave was to prioritize those teachers who do not have the diploma or the associate's degree. In the past, for the past many years, the focus has been more on bachelor's and master's, and those are also very important, but we have only so many dollars and so many teachers. So we needed to make a change in order to raise up those teachers who are not meeting the legal requirements. Also, we had conducted a research study last fall. It was finished around November, that looked at a correlation between teacher qualifications and student achievement. And we saw a significant correlation across both neighboring islands, Ebi and Majuro. And so that also sort of strengthened our resolve to put our focus on those teachers that do not have their associates or diploma right now. And so that's why we've invited about 50, I believe it's 56. We had started at 52 and a few extras kind of got in at the last minute. About 56 teachers that are invited this fall to come for education leave. And those are people that have their, they've been teaching, but they don't have their degree. And the funding for that, about 400 and some thousand, is for their salary. So they receive their full salary while they're attending USP or CMI, because we recognize that they still have family needs, plus they're going to have to live here in Majuro, which can be expensive. And most of them, not all, but most of them are coming from neighboring islands. And then the roughly 300,000 will help those that don't have Pell Grant anymore. Maybe they've used it all up, or they had prior experience at CMI where they maybe had poor grades, and so they're not eligible until they get their grades up. So that roughly 300,000 will be to pay for the tuition needs there, as well as at USP or other sort of fees that come up. Some of them we've had to look at some past debts from classes in the long ago past that we're trying to get clear so that these teachers can move forward with their classes. We're doing this so that our students can be learning more effectively. There is the reality that once they get their degree, they will have a higher salary, but the reason we're doing this is not for them to get an increase in salary necessarily, but because we know it's better for students. So that's why we're prioritizing those. But we know that in the future, those that are looking for their bachelor's and master's will be prioritized once we get through this big chunk of teachers that still need their associates. Your next question was around, the parents, how will we look at the breakfast program? The way that we came up with the amount was to look at our population, our student population from last school year, and the PSS Act of 2013 requires 185 days of school a year, so we took the number of people times 185 days in the school year times $2 for breakfast, and that calculation came up with the $3.1 million number. So we, quite frankly, are feeling a bit overwhelmed with how we're going to roll this out, but it will look very similar to the lunch program, especially in the beginning. We'll likely use a series of vendors in the urban areas, and then we'll work with a mixture of vendors and parents in the neighboring islands, depending on the island and what available vendors there are. For those schools that have in-house kitchens, we'll cook in-house, like middle school, Marshall Islands High School, Kwajalein High School, those kind of places. Yep, go ahead.
Chairman government kuwa chirig melalagin kachitakan senatorin eude ilar kamane program ngin chegu bar kajol lagar lolur jagi pergagi rain me cholok elap chen kalau nair cibangir beran kamane cerwalin kada kain wajan tabar katabarangan kajol lagar rain kai elang aru jawale beru peran pek diploma ak degree kai nair kenake ngarajap innem ene jay gujilang chuan wa ne ko ju jay gujale ben kalam ma jan khaari ngai che ligut ke chala la gujan et katabero ngan kajara mane ajri reinem jugun peragina em chen kade ge em kachide go ini per emi perwach igi chen mangai e chalo go ta emi jay bar ne che lela pe ko jujin merongon ledo leda kam kajere charaman e ko rore page em kamane mangai ge ngi jan rujugul Ragi kalau pe enatal mangai ko rene em loror jage pe ranta bara mangai ke inki jon ruju e chala go da jan ijo kona an chigin jala lo jan ngan loror jage pe anta bara kata bara kana ke elang wa wen go chejloi a rol do ngan mangai chupone chej kada mene pe elang ajri ilo ar kada ke pe bena do ben principal ra rala katal rancangan mangai chupong emenawa inair pelen majano im cecep cala kada ke jage marungan yang mana ne dal nganir ilair majano en bunir ilair jam manganju cec kata mane ke ngechelelo rene jam mal gair kada ene jam mal gair edal nganawa injugu e mo awin goche kumal
e jamal yini ne yoro man raga jep
Ammane beolela roja ke kamera lo di kamolol minister kap commissioner kan wa ko ini bar yield ngan raja member raja tu jangan yang itu
kumol senator chairman aniduk mala janan chian kile minister aruj kilo finance ngai marong kamane wachuan gajiduk ilo pajadnai under special APPRO ini kan jologa beri pensiun antara rajan kuajalen ilo special APPRO ewo rubugi 1,000 kan kuajalen school bus itu ke lagi agak jaya bujin apply dengan Japan grassroots funding kan agak tu minister TV tak cemerong
Kumol chairman heading kan kacito ginauro ayat jejkar merongot agilo iya jawin echelok school bus Japan grassroots aledo manjul ko kacuju emarong galang yolo agiyo ini lang rar kacito age eno de changan galang en uwa igichen grassroots funding and bus
emang kumol ya bukala minister ke nangan awal ben school pa yana wanang menteri kane chen grassroots program nan Japan nge emyan pajarak pulen laban lang school pas aku kiye chemlele emge cherena support the rubi 1,000 nangan kwajalan school pas aga idal yeni ngan minister depo
Kumol chair yawangan kumaya minister jagia jam tim nayam mol kanamiang narung negar parainot orang kereo ki elgen rale menganarang kemana cara beli nyar orang kain igichen pajidin an cikin cala lag jonome yapan cun pajidol ban aur emut nganot pen ngan kakuba bayola melelawan chairman adding igichen pajatana me ejo jangan ipen ministry in kutupu jolep ilogar rong la lemeo fiscal year 2025 arwet ngan ministry in le mojino million lima buram yong rotojin ya buram yong lalem imlo fiscal year in berodok et kat manu ngi ne jiri la ko moepen ini jawet chonganin chijino lalem million chimyon bugiral dong rotojin im chubugi im chilu ejalabalakon ramion million cubu raldong ramion taujin cijino buim radi de tala nganot for the record when alikar chongan kamit meninan kien ngan Yun malak chala la ko jeni lo ayeng gain mucha kachito ke wangin ngani pen PSS yigijen impact na meje lo rainin yigijen an yedalak rujugul ngeji ma melele enrollment has dropped berberi yonan di rigolak population na areng ilo to do an out migration yemut ilo ala blok minigi ngai tamak ebar lewat cibangko nganari lab dan no tar ba wiggling room nganan ministry in net company charbalago in company yo chuan ni jigen programin najiri go lab tata program na meji pam breakfast program man ne laban dukun chuan me nganan kamolol ko minister kap tim na nganan yang kar lo yang mani ngan dukun pushi wen en chuan wa we no me egur mol meno dam paye ken lok ngam ngajar repem cubu persen ke ya wayan leng rujuguro ni jirang re ya dalem kigin pong arar jab kejuda em rala jab kejuda inem rido kum cugulun jupong recap par mengin jupong em kalmal lagu jani dengan ledok mengin jupong ani re elap tatang ini juan atana healthy snack breakfast ke ini lelak cerian go me ajrin raiguji marani ladam cugul am mana ne pekata gun go boy kira jab kuli akia ni lag dongan mengin rale na ya koy mangay ne me ka jang dukun etoan karpet permandak imut jeni dukun interested in dukun lale kan methodology na yo wa we ne ka jigi gi we jala ga lo taralan ini bar jogo kan me ni payan ne interesting work jala ya bayan leng kakanin majal ko mer barong pugiyum dukun aurengan erre kala kana ajri rein emu cergain magdi ala ba ka molo le ko ngap tim nam kan manin aka kachido ko ta yigi chen maintenance ke yorge kalmal la ko jan emu yakar ke wor chata ka ko me kajangar kalmi jegi ngani gi chen what ijel laguna retain army jim pokto army jangan company maintenance program dengan alap tatangan ngai ba chiginu korea nom ECC ijel lagun contracted out aga jarbali pen local government yo ngan provide maintenance im lale what is the most cost effective way ngai pa menin kan gai chedian cost kaya chedian charka ramarong redundant em ramarong atana fully capitalized lo barchuan wa win kalmal lagu jenuin ngai ya ministry ne marong lale kalmal lagu jenuin ni jel lagu nar pokok army kel boran company carry out di menegi icep chala boy ichain company ka pachunin kalmal lagu jan ngana mi yang pa look into ngan to kali ngan tan save cost chala ga ya pa ang money kan reju jilo igi chen tan maintenance fund ne re ibo di yin ka jang lamna chongan ne chung lalem million juma yola ka jangar para approve di lalem juma million so total of $10 million is now sitting reji lo maintenance fund me it carry over mandak and the human compact na mit pening joinin kalmal lagu jan ministry ne marong look into ngan lalem mangne is if it is join why we know miss and it cost effective ngai ejumaya kemi mijalak Mr. Minister ka commissioner ejumaya ke awale bigir kagi emjer gi conform ngan minimum wage ne megal 450 and ela effective kagi ne effective then October 1st awale brane 450 kan ke kagi ne arang ne man komol boy mejem majir malah romero yang orang jaga yang ini alikar ke calok cuan rega gini le lalu ni men le mengol lucuan awa ilo air pekwana yang ko wana air kacito ke boleh ni alikar ngan tan CMI ke boleh ngan CMI ngan air cujum pajle to mukjir melele ibalukun kacito kini pajatan apa kan ke it is what it is amene yang ai kanan boleh emphasize ini Aurgen adat nai and CMI Aurogun order tane im an compliance begia kajang la karela order de an rongo yabayan atan yabayan nana result in order de kano dan jang in la order de an CMI an adverse opinion adverse opinion yabayan kokure tagadugun all up in order de an kien kanake you guys are an important component in order de an kien mino ya urugin ba kajangan dulur jaga minigin pa ko jale iwata awin nge calakatan wawin ko kajangan pergi ngan kajimo wawin ini kai ene CMI marong luzi dan accreditation land so therefore forfeited 10 Pell Grant ngai icablugun jale talugun pungtan ko kumayangan angin pergi ngan rainin aga elagdok report kajan obijan auditor general yang parainot auditing firm me auditor kajang icap letok chat kalmal lago yan ko me riletok aineman ngan nga kienin kanake enot CMI ngayenai rolagom luzi accreditation inan mililin ene luzi eligibility on Pell Grant mililin CMI and insolvent, everyone marung in function. And we get Jalakarang choice a key and a jay within Kapukoti Chongani me in a digijap Nanan Kalajan and 1 mile ago. But I each of Lukun Jala in a Kajanga Lukun, Melelegan Chongan Eruin, Im Labin, and Chang and Rilok Charbalgin. Imelega Elang Auto to go marriage. Rajatan roju rumit yang walaupun kia ni ni war rumit aga ngan kia yabayan concerning kenigijen cek na CMI peri yabayan consequential dan result in order tanai yamay aur gape kami angan prioritize aur gape komen caparot resources ko komay ay guji ngan liwaji pen lebih order din kami angan jagujin prioritize above and beyond anything else. Otherwise, all the men in Kajang Konogi Chen, Makatuan, college and name, Manigan and Rewing and college and name, any chalok togair. And which night, e call menin ganagay, Junin concern level up, Jolop Bernay, night, Qualo Nanigay, Nijina Kanagay, Minigay concern and our lip, cabinet over concern gagay. And when I in a Pelin Canan Ronjaka, Chapter Updates and Command, Jalagay, Germany, Ejpampachen Fogu and Nampagane. Aga enotaba without the order the jala to jarang kono ko jabro budget ngan CMI yami ni cheje gujin enodi chop kanan pa mini aga the reality will be cheje gujin lale tabung dan ko cheje gujin pergi okay chairman ngani pajara gujin impar karalo
Kamol minister the report ane robar chelet nambagane chejli lamgan ijagain kamarang kono gan adat jabro dian Langai war responding kajido kap concern one ministry umyawan malawat.
Kumal perjuangan chairman kle kajido kan ministerin emrawrak emen na kajido kali dada balen college ni pokonani barang pagciri ka kawat akrorona juman malawat. Ikichen impact about migration mokada minister Rainwan Committee iya kane lemo rongol lalem rongol chilino enod lajara chongan chen kana rolla ichep kajidegni nambane char perbere dion bajadane me rainin me lemol chuan ijel lagun te irrela gelawan kan balen chen horari jan campact chen horari do me helang terir emar kalabalo emarong chen hojan World Bank grand hochet emi jogochet emegara manang labalo hak imalele kamole legan malele bag chen lale wa na lukun malale pangne mo lege lang chongan again inne ngai kalmane ke nagar balla balla bajet hak chala le dok chongkane perberion chongki chalela ilo alben wa ngana ile mo chon angai lang room ngan kachida kane me ijep tanak chit kono ga rainin ya kamole karere Ijellagun ilan rio jala karmi jano tamba ait je rila ko je watak eleng room ngan kajabar ap ilabar alwar balale e balala wa win ko me je chelma ilan bar rio jala karmi ilo mol ngako ne lale ye kana me je ba ala rio jala e cheblikun lango ko da jan ga yar kaman penunen mo dala e mol ge e chebal labalo karmi jilan majal kan ga jam mag karmi joro nambao ake je ngolo tawje e magal ben nambana rar perben yon chongone me chongul chilu chuma tawjen rujugo ko bar jabat ijellagun wa win gane me ruj pakchigir imi chabido ba ngain kwala komba e chabai e charo room pakjo je chiba charwali penron ngalale yana jamaron bigot ngailang ka elang chano jamaron ka jabaro ait chen ka jabaro ngai chewi ka jo lok charbalin jalalo yana no training kan ngailang chirik chen ka dagen so men ko je charbali gen kan chongo kan raberi per iki jen mga injipona komol ay chen ilgun charbale agelang kalman lojan pe chen ka charbal mga ko kijer ngajet per lo chugujugun per hoil ngai mga injipona mga pinana kaina ni menagana me chemarong ijel lago na ko jilung la kocha e chalo guda jen chage mga chaba je mga fruit ilawan mejero ka ju chala chada one na apo chada one waran menagana ka ju jai ilgun pukat kwa wina me ena tabar ne ba ajri ran pello chikin chala la jan maron pagine ne go rakkar manair kada pelenchap rumut mama pawaro ranjapa ko jai rumu jo jangan charbal ba chacha kamman mga injupong apa chagin kalma iki chen maintenance jeru namman kachidagane kanake enodamba chalagi dom loy lalemia charib kajarbangan maintenance kia parga lalemia ajjello charbal langalangai so chai wit buat kelen kamagdri chen ne penjab chorren lak chigin chalal janane anri jugo rein ne em chat kada kan kajarbal army corps of engineer contract ilo mol chunian kono char chino elmagode em jangar company pen egli jago merario jan outer island e jemo yu me char kono no ha ngai chamarong kamori choni noawin pengar ramarong company maintenance gane ijello konan reservoir chechore company e korren company em chejlo chibangan nganir barren company pene jage jon chemeron ipendron ijo konair men kajabaru menjugul kan em charbal gina ru jipendron pachirgin kalmal jana amman kachirgin chemanonen barkono no ga ne pajaragin em lewat ngan CMI akait euruk penebanin e chop kachida ke chen charbal ga nidi jala euruk penebanin nim kajo jawal belo euruk nuamen ya bajet kana ke chala ala ujan em ilijum chakala jan kalajan euruk ngan kajo jawal kumal dala
CMI, please proceed with your response.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And first of all, my greetings and also respect to the Chairman, Mr. Zackius, and the members of the committee. Thank you. First of all, let me clarify. I take my role as President very seriously, and the board is depending on my actions and my words to speak the truth and based on evidence, and that's what I will do today. First of all, a clarification for what ACCJC does in terms of sanctioning any institution with the levels of sanction. There are 3 levels of sanction in ACCJC. The first one is warning. Warning is usually followed by a letter of clarification by a vote of the commissioners, and it gives you enough time to fix whatever that might be. In our case, with our audits, it had to do with eligibility requirement number 5, which is that each institution must prove its viability in terms of finances. So that's number 5. The second level of warning or sanction is probation. So they'll give you some time, again, to fix the problem. It's a little more serious and could have more serious ramifications. And the last level is called show cause. When you get to show cause, then you have to prove why the institution stays open. So there are 3 levels: warning, probation, and show cause. Ours is warning. So the accreditation office, the accreditation said, we're going to place you on warning. We're going to give you 18 months to get to and through audit number 24, audit year 24. because we didn't meet eligibility requirement number 5. Now, when ACCJC puts anybody on sanction, they always give you time, and the reason being is because ACCJC never shuts institutions down immediately. And why? Because they're concerned where students would go. They believe in continuous quality improvement, and with that, they look for the institution to provide pathways. An example is there is a prep school closing in California. They went on show cause, they're closing them down. It took them 3 years to get there, but they had to provide pathways for student completion. And so ACCJC is always wondering, if we close you, we put you on, we take away your granting abilities, then students won't be able to complete. So we're on warning. They said you have 18 months to fix the situation. The update is we just finished our 23 audit. We're waiting for the findings now. 22, excuse me. We're waiting for the audit findings now. We will move immediately, and we haven't moved immediately to start 23 audit with an agreement with EY. We've had conversations but not signed any documentation or contracts at this point to begin 24 audit when we finish the 23 audit. Right now, we're on a schedule to finish the 23 audit in October, then segue to the 24 audit and have that done by December. In January, we'll send evidence to ACCJC proving that we have completed our audit reports to get us off warning, and that will be 11 months before the requirement, which is, they said we had to be completed by November of 2026. And so we've moved very quickly to get that done, all in the spirit of better governance and better business. And so that's the situation with the audit presently. But then, again, ACCJC is very clear in their, and very calculated in how they put sanctions on institutions. So we won't lose our accreditation, we won't lose our rights with Pell, but we must finish our audits in order to meet all the requirements and interests of the RMI government and its people, of our grantors, both federally and any granting programs. So it is a priority for us to finish our audits ASAP. Kumo.
Kumo, Dr. Newman. The teacher required translation by education, Minister and Education in Perkia. Teach Kachim, Romaja Kajim Pele, Bajan Kada Kajim Pele. June Wallop.
Kumol Cheram, I either go to Kamol Wakom, and what Minister and Education Matam, but I not Commissioner Neve. You log in bar grant name me me 22 million me awarded and education and training and Benagana. You get bar Pajala grant name supplemental health and you bought Parchone grant me breakfast morning snack program name are eligible wage provide nutritious and then supplement and agriran in Niger, which is really the basic fundamental of primary health. And we join in Wawin Kajamaram Jarapale and bar make sure again bar available and bar ministry ne Jamaram Belen split the Managana Pendron will work it out, but join in bar Kalmal Lagujan. Ngane CMI ngai kamolo gan wawin gainum our way milligan ren walok loblit kanagay imimalaji kanagay concern in gay jabarro ta ganolep kajadiri in gay not only completing audits but also the results of the audit kanagay your result your wawin ko me auto ko requalui kareri lak emla mujigia tagan me other than equalok ilo findings in menakay menugor lugun baraur gain kanagay jamarong completely jadada ang jadada ko me rechap kapakaka ene jabar ligdi ka jilo chat wawen ko me jamarong par chelet eligibility gain aram jamarong wan mala ko tan pello chet chig ko me jaba echaba manangan ole meni ganan bar karrila ka ju jale gain balbran melele kay there's one completing the audit, the other is also the result of the audit. What's the findings, and are we in compliance with our obligations and fiscal responsibilities? May matanminu gin may aruba kajangan bar melalagag. Ako inig pajaragin, Mr. Chair.
Kumul Minister, mula yan lang Vice Speaker Isaac, alam ngay marang kamayojun kakamen, emang chun kajidag. Mr. Minister ko Commissioner Mayor Carlo ko elang chain and maintenance, property and maintenance. Item na walang 25. Kinta chain na just appropriating a chalo maintenance. Nado and money kakal manjulo and ilo any wadak. Kayo agal number funding a charge of chewy. And I do not know the way up Naya Ruwilak. And I don't know Chulu or the island to Javi Barkakayal. Ever, I bet you are Kajidagan and CMI. Where subject Taru and NITIJELA Kanu Kia. Education nursing, education nedro. Pwede jalo kanjito kaya hospital arrange administration more agencies. AI with null. AI with kaini me ekanan benar. Alag review jalan college program nazio. Ilo college ilangan associate degree. Agar nodaro chala, agar yang kucap molmenin. Nurse, registered nurse haven't require a 4-year degree, PA, BA. Nadiin college ni lelang lok program and nursing. Pwede ang lauru jalok nurse tujuh jakada nursing lo college ni. Pendru yalokan PA, peran kacu yang bertitle in RN, a registered nurse.
Doing nothing. They were all coming. We did nothing.
Jadi malot.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You want to translate?
Mr. Chairman, President kachitang marang translate with yapahan aur kachitang ngan charang public.
Bawa, hamiro lama.
Translate?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In 2021, recognizing the need for improvement, CMI requested an expert team from the University of Guam review the college's nursing program, including the curriculum.
Mr. Chairman, anadan President kalayan ngin kuala ko ilogar 2021 yung anwa kachito ko udit jen obi jenam. Siyama agar chino charbale wani pen University of Guam ngan kakam malok yun lang lo level chala jeno ilo kala jawari ki chen program ko malagam ene karbo.
Since then, the following recommendations from that expert team have been implemented. Number 1, the addition of courses in pathophysiology and maternal health, increased emphasis on professional ethics across the curriculum, including student nursing, wearing uniforms regularly as part of their professional formation.
Imelgin agar University of Guam kamane kadagi agar lero jadar recommendation kin kajuan jet course ko me kalang law jet yan course ko chunian ro yan course ko pathophysiology imyo chuan maternal health im pranot karon malok ba kinjar wala kwan rujugulu lokal yana likin ngi nursing program poran kana jet nunu ko men kwala ko yer rajar manok im enin improve personality ka morale wire.
And included in that was regular meetings between nursing faculty and the MOS staff.
Junian karbar recommendation ko chenagar pore kadagin University of Guam gar company pen work jet regular koila koi gran nursing faculty war kala wa dialing gain impore no terjar war betul.
The current AS in nursing degree requires a minimum of 288 practical hours referred to as clinicals.
Ilo programo ki ilo college ana dikin kitchen is in nursing pe kon receive chuan am degree kwa uji rigda da prubu rally the practical hours yim just consider clinical hours.
And this takes place in the final year of the program and is in addition to the hands-on training in the simulation laboratory.
Programming agad clinical programming na jichina company lo semester kita dan cuan rujul nurse im recommend para de go balak practical clinical course wire im berjana hands-on training.
In meeting with the most staff, have been expressed the need for more seasoned nurses because of the limited number of more senior nurses, making it difficult to provide adequate mentorship and supervision for fresh graduates.
And orang perjalanan kalian angin kualok ilo kuan college pen stabaran MOETS and orang kualok matan rekomendasi ngowin kualok all people are regular professional nurse and other regular merenda supervise kamantare fresh out of college major in merger CMI.
At the same time, the college is limited in how many years the degree program can last because of Pell requirements and an increased focus by regulatory agencies on the completion rates. The additional internship bridges programs the additional internship bridging program fills some of that gap.
And orang pernah kuala ke jangan ada wannan rujul nazaro rujul lokal ya naingin ilang berjat konsep limitation of women rana celo rujul na other funded by Pell grant and other limited inam kajar Pell grant ilam jubul ini nagamman pe worjat limit women jajar rela bila wire yang munanar walau dok idea in ikijen additional program ko boosting program me majinar jubul rana malanom perpuk jarak internship program ko maner kamaner kambini.
We will continue to meet with the MOs to seek additional specific information about the skills and knowledge that our graduates need to succeed.
Ilo anot mengan marajanin jarwalin college ana lagi nene jawan malam continue jarwalipen Ministry of Health ngan kakaman malagam nale awijuan out pedal elbada nganar ke rojan program gueron la relang out pedal rojan.
Another challenge for newly graduated nurses joining MOs is the length of hiring process with PSC. Frequently, our nursing graduates, especially those with the highest level of achievement, seek and find other opportunities while waiting.
Challenge yang kalian elengin, jawab lo ilan company survey kawan ibar juguru mereka kerja nursing program kalian elengin itu kalau kay cunian adang ko meron jala terjurun daga karwe jala ko yo to nair katar nganer meron realamai chicken charwal ko yo ajbel ko not process at PSC yum te andara bilo bar chicken charwal ko jet ijela goner charwal kan meron merara kata kabi ki jendo jingilo kalgan ailenken.
This fall, we hired a new nursing faculty member, Dr. Josie, who holds a PhD in hospital administration, an MBA in healthcare services, and a master's in nursing. Hiring more highly qualified faculty is a key step towards pursuing the college's long-term goal, which is a program accreditation for the ASN and the development of a bachelor's degree in nursing.
And orang kolok kan cerwalwan college ini menjar pegcir menjar ayat cuan PhD in hospital administration, MBA in health care services, master in nursing. Jadi kita akan recruit cerwalin ini kolok kan kami menang college an island dengan orang jalap jalala ko jan ilo programo iki nursing program an CMI pojan narong tagar kachiro mayude channel Mr. Chairman iki ASN in Bachelor in Nursing program.
Kumultata.
Kumal, well, that was a long answer. Anyway, kachido ngad ena yalangat chalalawajan ilo kala yang ro rejbak program in nursing ko barang lag karyo yalok ewair registered nurse. Chalo ka jida ka chisai which NITIJELA hospital.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Right now, the process is we're working with the faculty to get an expert opinion from their area on whether we should seek accreditation first for a nursing program or to seek the bachelor's degree. But we are moving forward with either accreditation of our nursing program through an accreditation agency or begin to offer the steps forward for a bachelor's degree.
Kemudian Mr. Chairman, anu kor kala ke cara lagi ni menyai pegcikin kan ke urut kalau melalui dengan kaman we newsing program dengan kalau jangan yang kan independently accredited or legally law even accreditation an siapa we elang proses ko cara lagi kiam menyai anu kala faculty urut cara lagi ni melalui iu ini ni zaman dengan kalau jangan yang kan kumol.
Okay, man kumro mol be aligar ke kumro charwale chalo tafne deiri ya kumro lulu ya when luck rudo nojero agrojuro jan CMI ilang air 4-year degree learners chagi na ikale vice speaker Isaac Segraya kan kajido kwan
kumudara chairman heading number klegero lo kuno ge rawroglo ralgon rainin jowe gnan ko balo dilo Nanuam chairman, nanin klego ngan rota lawir. Yuro aragap. Kajang lo kamidin. Reservoir Rainan Finance, Ewa NITIJELA. Malabdarangan panelin, Minister General Zagejam, Olive Commissionerin, President CMI, Olive Rain May Human Ministry in Aurak. Ini periodion pajatagay arjang may beriman mejan. Kajitagay juan imantara ini jadalangan NTC National Training Council arang. No darang melalagay pajatin emjan idok kia iman mejan. Kami din ngajlari ji rali dongol cima tahu jam talau orang itu worker meje iyo apa jada yang itu 600 cilu tahu jam cima tala ini fokus jodohan ilo ngan area yang enojon resolution yo me emjan NITIJELA page ngan kareba bagalok training ngan lelo galinglok kabilangan rome labda dangan citizen road kia company ko ralla pralagadan air even air kan ke chalok skill ke ini per em ceng par melele ke bojen itu paluni ko wareng kajang ini parai wit pilot ngan nei paluni kan regal ngajlale pajudi no de cheblugun alat ere long ke training ke ini me 4 kala ragi mar par walling ta lo floor an NITIJELA kaji tu again kajuan ne, kaji tu again karo ene periodion reservoir na reno rugagi rana yang lo outralan, kamolol ministerin kap awalegan rota logir kan pegojen kia cutak starling lo outralan, ijaji ngai orang malam kata berin. When cudak olive starling tamaga ni lugun cibang rugagi roar dengan keman kelaji lo online enot rome raganan paglingalok enot level wire ilo college ilo ana bangar idongani jagain ikonono kan rugagi roar yang lo outralan melabar kamolo lo ni lugun cibang ngajlale pajatagay areng cuan pajatoy me almangat emjan wallingalok cheniyogo remodel melange yor kain program radin ngan ene erga giro areng lo audaran morongin ngai melelege yor cetrome yarji bangerilo ailingo ralagadan apply ngan even areng air kan ge jiwa jalo air pipa ilo air ilo ngai karu yalo jen kala jo areng melbat promo ngan wa ini na mene manin itama ngene lugun cibang army ro areng lo alang ngene pagjigen ngai bar leluragan maintenance ngan cigul wareng ego bar restroom all ever war pijago raberiba palen ngani providing and rental lawyer even all even enodami ang melalage or radum yon elementary lo ailing oblak eme balang choren gome palen ngani ke bagay rental lawyer kalog pijagin pe ngayakar enodang lawalaw pajadagin yan lukun kailing alawajan tamagani re long all about ralan ngan company yo juan ni ganan bar kejaraman ministry ni kan breakfast ne kan najri gajri rein mitamak ewan ne jipang parent rome nganair loro jage kijanajri rein chono da gajiduk yalange gange evojan chudak starling emoronge common extension ngan computer classroom ilo all even out the island I kono gan out the island arwar kalaman lo jenin jen mero amjang nganan chudak ilo waja bichuan kalaman lo jenu me amman eno the kajampo yen focus lo starling when service lo outer island kiem yan waling dak starling kemu ja outer island kemu je kajarwale meligdara ene jangan scholarship wareng kiem yan tabul waling lak pajan amiang tamagani war drialong oleven chongorali dak tau yino me ya dalangan chuan rujigol ilo iligan rujigol yang ilo college meor ayri rar chigul ilo majlin malag relocate parent royer rar dalam malam continue ilo high school wo iligan majlin agrar class 0 longan rali dak imdro jalok emalugun Arjun yar kajidak leling da kajidak ini lo flora NITIJELA mar dok cuan wago me bagar perumit kenege kiye melele kajang fogo jo dengan ajuri ro rio yalog lo majalin ilan gari dok melele oge rome rabari ligun imrar tolok iligun majalin ya wajib ceni bala mana kage ngan warjonian emi gan ba kumayangan fogo ilo kene ajuri re ini ilo air rio jalo yen high school em tereme re chonjuan em choro driver po air kreda de lo university ga chawne ba ballang air pipa em edge kajang chapar yadan ko baigi kreda de nairang pen bar rialong ilo grade 4 in average yo me kajang I would imelalaga I would chilu point paran narong pagawadin ng scholarship yo palen kajido ko ni lo round jon lo kaude kumol
las vice speaker Ilunggu wakajing jana Mr. Minister tim na ami yang ini.
Kumala Chairman and Minister, kan ini naik kacungan pokona lo kacita kay ni printer lawyer ni bar unmalo dum pokona yat. May help tarang echap sumaya kamalili. Aka yala migchen program na National Training Council kamola lait emola ka chay wujud kun bar chino libujar jare bayan langalok runner skills langair peba man kabel ho me chay wuji parin baron pelo chigun charbal curriculum podor gile agali kar rainin ge chon training me char tarare me char kwal gila NITIJELA me rubu chi marmit ijligi jabot chay wuj kamaka jala kan ge chon charbal ngana ripuk chigir gi chay wuj idurung lok pugui ko ralak me jab kabadaran taujin riligin barandan chinoy kanan lang chay na iro to ka man kachitagin emilo pajadan na kone lo lori pajadan ay kwala kan technical vocational education training kan kabela rin me kono no gagi e bayang lat jonin wawin me chamarongin charbal ipen hobijingen alap talagir o ba National Training Council kan kakajulak ikichen maintenance kayangar kono no ga elkunaur ememol menna me bay wanchangak chugulo harro ilo ailengo elang katabargin ngan kakale emengana ilo pajadane emijrelo jodoga matan men ko jeri ay wi barchibang haru chimor pero meron kono itpi ba ko re kamelimi aga liso ba jen merongin kamagdigat chagin chigin armi jerin matare etbi jana pari jogo chat pajadian rum jogo gin akai chagujin kamane wawin gin enodan gar minister kwal and finance ge chaguj pikot pungudan go be enjab kam jangot ain ko jo jale kachongen kagari magin jogo chamarmi emnge chaguj podo armi jero chat chen ligin ego chen kamane ange chamaron kamane jan armi jero ari lawa chenchino gagir ikichen starling amman pelenjonin jarbal chen jaigujin jarbale ngan kachidune me kamman computer lab ko aga chen kenwe pogo janan chen ngan kadangan ruju chen ilale wa narbar kachiongen kare beka bekalo kakajulok ay gucci bangane me jidok ngan ay gucci gana jedam pelenjene paga kachidagi namman jarbali pen obi jogo talagir college National Training Council imi jogo chet ngan lore jaga ikichen kachidagi ngan scholarship ewe jalaga rangne juwa kana ijwa ajri ren nejirim raj per giligin ijalagon grade point average na kono no ka belen ne jonin unin kono no jalaga jarbalin chen scholarship average akchonin matan ejpello board commissioner in emer barua ak ai ajri ro nejir rajal juwa ngan scholarship me garda raj pelligin jodoge elam kachido ko me rai gujen kwalikar eno ajri ren nejir raj kamane jet pe ba ko kwala ko mem jair chugur rani barche bela do eno dar ke bela ajri rani nejir barren che bela do ya kachido re ya ur kem chen kamane Jono melalen kolguna mo minister kana mar kwala melale yugi chen supplemental chen me jadanga na hospital kajangar kamane imligu dilo pajet akana erwa jaiwit moda career lo kawale bena yugi kana hospital ilane da AIPN jagar ba ko petinjab katat ako leo JCG moda piniji emnge ejab tabarak agelang ijar me epal kaurin chenen nganar kajarbalangan menginjupung ayat ijo jeni ugodo yanam kajarwale aja jerre jangan rejarwarin mataro jarwale pen hospital bangne ya tabarak ijo kajangan ipo kajangan apa kumoy kan alben kacita kainin ngailang baruwa chen renchat igi chen cha kacita kainot ya ko jojumun mau Direktoran NTC ya Roro Jarwali Pen scholarship chairman kumal
Kumal minister clear alep modana kamole kachito go ardo jen vice speaker in ngana pelen lukuntu garun ngai ani pagai iloan ye mandak olemen army ro ka jeng trainer ke remajo meban ng program o inoda ministry para belawar eban lang menjalan certificate eban lang rar kailangan jangan bello level ko ulam jalagun jino jalal jen certificate jenengin minti kilege ay mor jenenge yala balak train ak matan junian emena bo isu iloar training bejar jino jana school level ngem jer karo jalak chakamane training ngin waran jino rajuro jodar jino relang feeling vocational but elang rajana ngon malakot yalingun training ngin ailang rai barangan akan mar chu hipen either CMI ngade USP majarai me raj pello vocational trade again yimlangai certificate either all be emjere lula charwal lawan majaling pareno dion kojalen jojo ni malwal target e kitchen vocational skill gane ngan chunyan parisu go me lo igjen menin cek kapal ka botu ni gain aga ngan kaini me for example ejin galangan chaborot ela ibu jarbal me komoram gaju relangai basic skill aga idan olven respond ngar jeli dongan kami bae palak idongan ubi je kejan jarbal wajan karyalangai koy no channel me na pala kagiler benar relangai jarbal kami labor alugula mole alugun company gain ujian majoro je jarbal bir parano di bae nganar kaciong menemukan feel kayak begini, macam uji. Kalau tak ada labor boleh cijalai calakan skill min labor, agak cik marong trainer ciri mana project kan kaju relang cara boleh so paling naik jabar palu ber yerin bola ke available vision aja boleh tu kapukan cara boleh mejalan skill, orang skill, cik marong kung aga ko'y pinjar wala kayo meron palak lawan majaling. Tamakuwak ang jangan iba jagdin barwa kumaldara.
Ewa ka kajido Mayorot am kajido Vice Speaker Unmal.
Amane jalak kajit par kajit lo round in kain kajuna do bain kamolol alven wa ko jen minister in gap traktorin apa jele ojo chuan kalaman lo jenengan minister in ngai no daru melele ga ailing lo be chuan yan subcenter boilo majalin marong bar relang lo secondary ajigul gana kumol
chich leo yung mga kaya bawa chejidok ngan na irang jilu tawala rong ro em chayana bilig rong ro mak ngan USB we jangan war kajid ngan USB I see in your submission that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 positions that have their proposed salary as decreased. Is that a demotion thing, or because PSC policy you cannot reduce anybody's salary from their current salary? So I'm talking about teacher English, accounting and economic. I trust this is also teacher, math and computer, and geography teacher. Ngan melala, chejpok melala.
Thank you, Chair. In regards to salary allocation for staff who are employed under the RMI USP Joint Education Program, the difference is based on the number of years of service. We are working with PSC right now in regards to staff review for the salaries of staff based on the recent amendments to the RMI minimum wage October 2024, and also movement of staff salary in regards to PSS. And right now, the salary for RMI USP Joint Education staff is still based on the program inception way back in 1996, and it has been basically moving according to the number of years of service and increments based on staff review for each term served. I hope that answers your question, sir.
Well, you mentioned minimum wages, and I believe minimum wages as and continue to go up. And I see there in your proposed salary for these 4 posts, their salaries is going down.
I'm sorry, sir. I don't know which page are we looking at.
I can share my copy if you want.
Which one is going down?
Why the salaries are...
Where is this one going down? This one. Salty.
Sir, I can assure you nobody wants to get decrease in salaries. Nobody. And if you decrease their salary, you're going to lose them.
Thank you, sir. I believe that there is a typo error on that one. Thank you. My sincere apologies to the committee.
Como round row, Senator Kalanka here.
Como Chairman. Kacito ini man tata ni jangan CLLC kue macam pokonami. Ilo ke macam increase jak lapalak pajado ngan division 1 bilingual education. Ngai kumaron chuyum kono chirikan wewenar kar wejalak kada kor auro gichen kakajolagam kalapalak kajin majal ilo chugul kuar ibalagen majalin. Ngan kami jinaro ar chonian mandi dukuan ubijin almaman udait jangan kode faigi kian manat ceberdo ya ikichen meninem menyan pajat online activity dengan ar kamane consultation ko ipeni rojo ar alabro rutor roido manat kap kieneo ngan NTC Acola buat ngai rebatongan USP pe biruru. USP ngai emalong dok chuan update. Can we get an update on the application or process of applying to the Pell Grants so that you can administer this? This has been in the talks for quite some time. Yato ar kono nogan USP relangai marungun administer Pell Grants, TMA kejarabale, rujuguro neji re kejarabale scholarship ini dengan air marungun cukulum, etala kacita ke ini safe ten, ini jalaban safe ten. Ngan NTC, ika molele ubiji dengan carabale ko amir lab, agi ijuata ke jangan dukun cecet wawanar kamane training ko. We tijelo ten ngebaj employer elabada kin karuilo majalin kerosenen Yusaka. Okay? Jodian company go mago the melat rachibaro the grugian room pare ilo air kacheon kapeguri jarabal. All even resume go receive ete marungun mi the requirement ko ngan pujin o chubugi timyo ngo lemon. Lost revenue menegin ijelagin V2X ak jolaga pur company o ilo kwajalen temang balale company kam dana construction company o an majalin bana balang rijar balin dukun ro pugi jar balagin ngai temang choyum taragate training kain pain fit for purpose ngan tibang transfer remaja ro ngan air pug puji jinagain Junian menogome ini jabar kacita we common fogudion population in chorigri rom reche perilo chicken chulo pe elita da inar kaman punben ba jibayo yan ajar chorigri ro ajar ro lalam taujun wire cimatanin population in karchul re perilo chicken chulo ak cimatan recep eventually armajarin reni rutolakam it's scale it's then marketable quality ngan scholarship minister Jono elmagot kwarpo gelingadak emalabagar sapote merre kaini poto galap cara manem merong cibang kienin chip jen conscription in recipient ro peron rol tokum erom rugagi yegana yeman mere rol tok ila lale joinin wawe nganan langalakar rugagi em pen percibang kieneo kitchen funding imangan PSS eboyal containing unfunded mandate again pay total 9.17 million it's sustainable eno da makar kanono kake MTDM program again elabay rawrak ngan ke enagar dokchuan plan nganan phase menin it rajange PSS gap ministerin rain izin pwedeng chojum lale webinar ne ko dage program again pe rongoro million nai ini talin magullag yin lal ini talin mat lalim million pwena ilo account nai eji mege ete pwengan kapare edan ligi jabakin mejit ko dage ak fundai lo yin I win what sustainable solution pathway malak kacituin cuaneo proposal atau ujian PSS ngan kata cuan request ngan kajarapale IPA special needs funding eno tami gar iminini in kajarapale FY24 kapligla akan jado ko policy changes ko an kata ego ba jadian resources ga me char marungun podo human compact chilu podo artom jarabali pen minister page le do assurance oge ni cover program ko imcerbe jogo claim ka de tapi commissioner injen ko jale ni jin manjagan absorb all ben activity go tara maunangan 2.5 million ino amigar request jin yesen manjagan absorb bilo pajadewan PSS rainin kia joinin bar elmagot ijiloge PSS marong entertaining jonian menogo me char kachong katare chetiye me odalak iloar kalabalaki mangako minister komolgen chuen lo maneongan perkara lang dok mangayen cupong ilo mangako cijilangan ajar ron najir iloar kalabalak mangai cuy melelege mangako kejar reni rakangan en punit harmijin majal cunin kilen kalabalak economic opportunity ngan local farmer ro local vendor ro jenje buya abal jenje buya waran ajen buya pop im mga wajat me jala gay rakar ramanim organic kero dan pelera pa ini kaman pijini ilo neighboring island payar mejero nugurum matar island ko ligun rence bay gujin magadala bay right source of income jon me kilen kalagiri ju percuan wawain an kien chip chen kaya ba roll gelangan 9.17 unfunded mandate na cuano carawal kemat percuno ay cuyo mo talak nganan PSS polen parenod USP apply ngan US bin ak bank identification number ba kumun marungan apply ngan kran ko ready available ilo Amerika eban lang education grant joinin wewe ngan kabir gilak jadi ane rogin ngan kupon lo aja na ilengkin kacita ko eli tata ito ilo etta boiten chojim kamane chon plan ngan ak chona katak ngan kalabala konain ragagi roar tika molole re chep chon charbale o ibro anga ko compare wonain ragagi ro ngan wonain rejar baro chat ilo kien akin level gani e bayang labi ko taknai ijerong ko ever chon personnel at audit PSSA kamane ak kami jeneo ana ilang kay natan public service kami jeneo ya wijan bar kaman nationwide personnel audit pweden marungan kairi olben nampagain errogain kaman kachimi imokotak chairman kachito ko again kumulta tagani dito
Kumul chairman kaude senator rinode senator kwajile senator kabua mina chino jen lik lamwat ngayaman chargain rani power ettalo me imaron ligani kachita ka meligi dada igichen teacher salaries imona nain karong kamidin emiyok senator gap tarmina ilang kainde ilang chuan magdilan PSS ngan right salary emay Rome elang aire rejpag chongol chilu langan chongol lale ro ilang lak rejpag rongol chilu lang lak ro elang rejmaster elang lak chir kamolel bay ada dine kwalik chibangit kalikar ayuji ak chit kilege chaygut kanero inan ragagi aurugin charbalin ayuji chimoy onair ngan air kamane kadako agilan chimoy ega kejo yayu barpakona ripen chimor lori jagi joko konari petro gar pada itama karunin katabaran kaginin ara jage cherbalinan PSS igichen wawin ganan funded mandate liability gane yu ai don amman kalaman lo jana ganan PSS USP kacheman pigot pinin palani jangan karwat lekun nalagan wan jonin kalaman lo jana man meni maram pain echappo jara Cherbali pen rane meramarawal ledok chibang enot coach de me yarbar kwalo la NITIJELA yer teberak ila je perot tem katar cheno rido jan kien agilan chikin jala lojan em rago je ke jil pen pigodi chen ge elba rai pem gen manga ne ge jen ke jerbal manga go kijer magi ilo najir gajiri re nijir ayde no damba roine ayde no damba rejibang arme joro par pugochet wawin moro nganir jugun pero elang cherbal ko re koraer gi pen PSS chicken ejmur cup national natural obijan NRC ilo arku baigum kadagen cherbal ko ngan anajri re nijir ka project kadak cherbalinek mene ilo chala lagjan ilo air kamane ekadagin chawi pigot kelen we ranjappa jakadot arren korto jan ekadaganay parajakat arjap kijare chawni to kulim ilo gar education te awi go chamala chalil chino an emmagat wa wini ilo air kachiman kajarwal kain re kain raj pugi em ka kalibani kadagi chino kamani yako gagi barra lo aur ene jai wit ko bai pen curriculum yigi chen wa win gan kada chen gan me jala ilo pa jane gem jane la ira gale ben chen gan ni bai special need yarani lan pa jane chen ka che ma jo an PSS rejido yen compact in general fund nan lo ya ga wa ni elang chet wa win ko armijin ko jelen je kamolo ler tar kwala ke rek company emilo an minister itemak an kada gar company eno chibang kal chicken jala la jono em wa men go jetum je kamolo kan wa ini nilan lang chen ho ipen kata kia ipen armijin ko jelen kamolo li rojero kala kap armijin ko jelen nilar kamelim mar ke jerwal chen gain ngan lulu jaga yu jigen archimo ayat chan majanolok arigalaro kalmang lojan kan conscription paling wa ini jajai ujen lulu jaga ilo ar kakajolok wa ini Ikichen NTC, ano da barani wartot konair. Palen edere bajan kamane juan baradet. Man imijala ngay juma kemi mijala. NTC ilolur jaga wawinin bajan kamane juan wawin me chana ilukun kajit certification ni pe bagen jelilok ngan army jerain me rej pakad. Ikichen ro rej bodela bajan chugur jab chala ngay kaman ko jale tama kay kaman ano dan kaman outer island ajit kaman ilan mejero ipen wam. Emelang necet pello kode kain karu akajilu jar kamane ngan elang ajiri imiar pello chon karu jalo kajaga berdiri jalo ilo wi kola ngan ajiri ro nejiri me raja per ilo chikin jala la jan gochet elang rechul ilo programin inang royal man high school a college apigo training gochet ilo NTC CLLC na juwa ka gigijen codification na jala ke recer bale tum rai vicer bale bo indiri jalo Akaden kajian majal joinen program an PSS ngan kamane jod bokko mero jugo kilo kajian majal ngan kaden ajiri rein nejeri lo chugo lo kajian majal ijala ga charbali ne kamanot igar kachidagi perjang werang ni pendron kariri lo kana chenin chibang ne jidongan wawinin chamlok kdian ilo yin la mijala ga rang kuela lulur jage CLLC USP MPSS IQPE program ngan lulur jage wawinin Pel grande setoki na jua ka imarong pagchir ko na eno chuno chi yadilo dan kian marmin majal lo council and USP ilo mol mataneja ko an kienin ngan kangal dok pel chap ngan kejut ilo an warin pilgay na FAS ang micronesia ngan jugulen ngan marong par kajarbat chen ngin rojo jana Amerika Cerbalin arwan malaw tam company kan USP lo jontero yar chago ipen ka CMI ngan lale Ewi wawin and merong air card gnir beran merong and real ang wawin gulo man kamane pelgranin eronik pelen kamale jini jala gar dalam pujara kilo chontere elitade nagar pello koilako arroilo cerbal gocet yor konono pen USP pe kamjangan lujer jere an kamano wawin mi jala gar kanan pen accreditation process ko ngan lale wawin imkina na Amerika ngan kamaga joy kachidage galuku naurok anwan USP emachit kamale ke USP ar eno de lalgar bar chungul chuan ar echolo da jan lalgan chungul chuan kumol cholo bar chairman ang nelang kachidage ka men ko kuwa ba jan chakana chojumon malaw
Ano de lugun latam wako como tada minister kachito ini aligada ngan yorok finance yugichen NTC ano dan kabila dilo kagino an NTC funding ko ngan training ito ko jen non-resident fee non-resident workers fee traktor kunit kajmi yung kurila rili kelak ngan pajato ko kagianin keceme jo malak im rainin elaka rebe bilo lima buku cijino ngol taujin finance ko man ko jojum clarify gi nampai na tage ejira rebe odilo nam jonganin 560 etep por year etelak variation wo ko tagilo an idok agdriwa jalak iya talaga langlak kerja balin ligene kai ejega itu ligiyowin chen na ngan NTC ngan air kamane training kai na ngan armijen majal mol
Kamal Senator, then you can non-resident worker fund naive low FY26 proposal naive LL 700,000. Kamal.
Sejika yokotak adan amount na pangakulale fiscal year wala 560, okay? So yung nalaran schedule 9 special revenue fund agar.
In Minister, Senator Ngimarang, Chair, ngayon ilalo budget na ilo, yung budget na education, MOEST, ilang chuan nampak capkan gelap, rai dongol ciljino, ciljim jauh tahu jen, in nama lama ciljino pui cilju na me, ejido yung schedule kan terjadi layar kan, come on. Yoman ilo pay chongol jelu, Yoman Minister and Education, Sports and Training, ilang chuan jen jadalang National Training Council, rally dongol ciljim jauh tahu jen, yung cilu tala. Ijalo kan namba na me ko jelo ilo schedule na elagame ciljino pui cilu tala.
Schedule na call up 500
ilale ilale budget pile me Appropriation Financial Year Act roto yung rongol jino roto yung rongol alat inga
Pelin kajitan Senator itu kayak cepat kayak jalan log trigger balin lig rajitok mejalan log trigger balin perlik rival jo jalan alakar baik perlu 540,000 wajib dan jalan fine ini mak.
Eno trali do bui jino olman na ilo schedule na agra na ikamulari.
Ngi marong bar pacirik chair im pelin kaci mai cirik adan ingai jemai am pat senator lo adan cige jong mai ge 560 megar lang kanono elegant ipengar NTC im time arjan pajat ge chenagar charbali pair boy lomol ge enagar adan based on actual collection. So enginje charbale odi penenti CM palen engineering in kai cheni bar chije dum kanna ne per ga menin
Choyem charbale kagairu do ka boy iyo reini kamano godak kilo kemedi enalagadal ngan nitijela chene jawi lore nambangane me rewalalu schedule gane
Em kumol tata chairman meneno igana pat pagaling dak pange Olivin yogo manta ka ejere bere bilo liba buku ichi nongol tawin ti elo yala kata na poego are me olako mol
jangan fine ke jarwale ewe Senator and Chairman Wilbur Reinig round row.
Mr. Chairman, mungkin nampak klik jero training ceblikun langal kajiro round robot kue chairman nagardang iri menjama ya pam wali lam ko manam kajiro menjam bagi oleh ban kajiro ko yardan kamani ayanan follow abo dengan kajiro kami CMI kajian nursing program dan wadah melalo kajian president aja bagai UOG, Arkamane Jadan Recommendation Law 2021, Kia Kajang Bello 2025, Ewan Livertun, I don't lock Pajan Maron Tabar Recommendation against UOG. Kain Karo Kajidang, Mr. Chairman, Yangan Bar, Brother Narolo NTC, Igajan TVET World Bank Program. Marong ilo tu ciri kapte dengan kami dia kejen nyain ceperi, lain kejenu, emang cina kan aja World Bank, another area Malaysia percuma iya remodolok percuma program ini, ciri baju tu belum ada jalan, tahan rar, menjadi cina kon Malaysia World Bank TVET project, kajian kejuan, jangan PSS. Ikijen registration fee ko me rujuro rai kalailo chul yagin manigin rai kolagi ratelangania ka pa recer balanganta majoro de kolak registration fee ke para other island we chemmelale chermo bat bagum melale registration fee ne ka tretan ka poni kolage ka element ta cer balakanan Emenyan senator kedalam kajian kan Pell Grant eman USB be eban berai to gin gain char percunu kajian charbalin kamolo be red kamani charbalin aga jon kajian jala jon project ko men ipan jibang rujuro ni jillo lo USB Aligarnya no apa? Amada kajian itu yang Germany bui olapan kajian itu perkara lo Mr. Chairman.
Komol, apa itu gua lo lajar lagi ya? Edal modal CMI. Enam juga dengan NTC, kalau dengan Ministry of Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to Senator Heine, to answer your question, we did fulfill all the requirements except one, and that was to create a cohort that we would not have been able to manage under the restrictions we have in terms of Pell Grant and the time that students spend in our associate program. But all the other conditions, which were to create a course in pathophysiology and maternal health, we did that. We increased the emphasis on professional ethics across the curriculum, which included students wearing a uniform. We completed that. And then we've also, on a regular basis, met with our partners in MOS, including the Secretary of Health and her staff. And we look forward, again, working with them to fill in the gap, whatever the government or the health requirement is in terms of students getting better at their craft. And so we look forward to those continuing conversations. Kumula.
Thank you, Mr. President. You can understand the importance of that program to our country. At the moment, Major Hospital lacks 30 nurses and EY Hospital lacks 20 nurses. That is a critical number for our patient care. So please, I urge you to expedite whatever it's holding the thing up. Comuntada.
And thank you, Senator, and we will absolutely do that and work with our most partner to create a partnership to be successful to fill those gaps, both here and in Kwajalein. We do take seriously. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
NTC, well,
Chairman, pere kajian region Senator ne, agin beli. Beli CMI yang melakukan include ilo program and nursing ne, kami partner kami dengan Yohawalat, kami fund nursing mereka royal laporan bello pre-program nganer barang eligible dengan cara bello enochuan nurse. Core dulu yang nege ibunya ne cinoy, cuan yang ibunya complete lo emarang dengan lo. Angan kaji dulu Chalo bagian. Oh, World Bank, komol. Itu orang kalau malah jana ya, eman World Bank ESP project kan akan cuma kan iyain. Melawan iya ko alam, promoting project ya 2 million. Himar pro-implementing agency land ministry, join Appropriation education PSS, join implement. Component room chilu, agar war eman lang menoja company kerja training. Car tuan minister kanan ngari benwam nganar pokok kaini me calangan pay na school peran relang ay training gain peran walang awakot ilang pensi amai projen dia kal training facility ko ngan kaju jibang kaman mala kana tiba program yan CMI the USP jaga kamane iba lalem ko joko Medjal guna ibuji pelang lawan major majalin, kainan accounting, business administration, juga beberapa counseling, IT. Yung induction workshop me car bali ben PSC nganar, mana berjaya bawa relang itu chicken jar Moranya ni raya rupiah PSC ragu pag induction program ini. Yung induction ini kadang ni bulan pak lukun yorum joan raja rapal. Moranya nam Cinoy. Ya paro menjar dia kemana joan di December car jubang fund bin USP. Yung menjan diri awak yang lawan Cambodia. Yung si marong kerja rapal yang berpilih IT war. Yung kemana training gua me USP ini barang offer hijau IT. Ilar lolak santerin, agar dokumen ane lawan persibigin, juga ping kajuan me awan modern, jangan alih lawan. Jadi perenut warkaman car cibang pandai lawan projectin, cuan salke center, yang ini perlu USP. Imelai ini langan CMI, ini Ukada bulan tahun era kamar cibang berjalo mata naik ujubo kain. Elang ada tokom kuko jaga ada lo menjubul kaya jab ino dar jalan ke jabal lo kala jalan pol. So elang ini jirum matan kujang abang ko kane kekajari. Kamu jalo ayu bujinum jar cibang elak pandai human kubo jalar dojen USP ngan keren training keren golo ESP project kan. Iba catakane iba lang ay no da ba projen ni jamal golo yoina elap tabara warwalo ilo kadamene ikiceng kumboni wani TC mo dada.
Oke, komaromul Director Julius, uninagar boleh nak kaji lagi kan kay. Ano da melele lalinare gun barai wit kamata mechanic plumber takane uji kitchen construction emo cha milgun cilgun la barai uji yang ne ilgun yang to rilgun ra jere lang to ilang army jara marong gar trelo menane I galeri we CMI one malawadam company vocational training ke ejumage president is okay vice president is eman
Fokus sama program saksi yang mana?
Betul.
Thank you, Senator. To answer your question, we are moving forward, especially in Iraq, to provide classrooms and labs. We're in the middle of construction right now for labs for automotive, electrical, mechanical, and plumbing. And once those facilities are finished, which is December, then we'll offer classes there to support that interest. And once we do secure that, the interest now is to offer those programs and degrees and certificates to the folks in the Kwajalein area, in the Ibai area, Gujigu, to come and finish their degree or certificate there until we address the need or the build a building at the Kwajalein campus. Come on.
Ministry of Education, Sport, Harvarjuanan, Senator Kachidangan, Mankombrojana, Mayor Chojum, Malot.
Como Chair, and como Senator Heine for the question about registration fees. So just for clarity, at the elementary primary level, we do not allow schools to collect registration fees. They're only collected at the secondary level, and we've talked about whether to phase this out, but at the current time, we continue to collect because these are also what's largely funding the PTA programs, the parent-teacher associations at the high school level, as well as some of the urgent needs that come up, particularly at the 3 boarding high schools, because students are living in the dorms. And so if there's a urgent need that comes up after hours and they need to pay for something for the child, they're able to have a little bit of flexibility with how fast they can access those funds. But that's the primary use, and the registration fees are the equivalent of roughly $2 a month at the schools, because we have about 10 months of school, 9 months of school, and they're around $20 to $25. So $2 or $3 a month at the high school level. But again, just to clarify, and hopefully anyone else who's listening to this, at the elementary schools, no one should be collecting registration fees, and if they are, I hope that will be reported to PSS so we can clarify the expectation with the head teachers or principals. I also just wanted to respond to a question that came up earlier about the restrooms at the schools, and we are currently we've just launched a program in partnership with the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade and UNICEF, and that program is going to help us to either renovate or install restroom facilities in 15 of the schools. We have 86 facilities, so it won't be in all of the schools, but we looked at the ones that have the highest need, either based on the fact that they have no restroom at all right now, or that they have large numbers of students and the restrooms that they have are very, very minimal. So that is a program that's already just launched in July and will continue for the next couple of years. And then I just wanted to also comment on the sustainability issue with the unfunded mandates, and just a comment that PSS agrees, it is not sustainable at this rate. We cannot keep taking on more mandates that cost money and not receive an increased budget ceiling, because it's just becoming too much. It's becoming too much to cover, not just in terms of money, but our staff is incredibly stretched thin. So as we're trying to reduce the size of staff for budgetary reasons, we're getting additional responsibilities, and I think a lot of folks are feeling quite overwhelmed, and we need to focus on the mission of PSS and really hone in on that and spend our time and efforts in that area. So I thank the Senator for her question related to the sustainability, not just around finances, but the people side of it as well. Como
PSS and Chiguro the Majolog and Bathroom, Riguro Muria, Ligamiara, ya. Kumango prioritize when we're bathroom law all Chigulo.
Yeah, thank you for that. So there are a few of the schools in the neighboring islands that do not have any restroom at all, and in 2 of those cases, we've tried to partner with Ministry of Health to use the restroom facility at the health dispensaries. On both of those islands, the dispensaries have been closed. There's no health assistant. And so we're trying to work with them to gain access to those facilities where they do have restrooms. Both of them are within maybe 10, 20 feet of the school. Others, the children go home. where there is no restroom. And I know that that's not ideal. You know, I worked at an Outer Island high school for 3 years where the students did not have good restroom facilities, and I know that it affects the dignity of the learners, and it's hard to learn when you have stomach issues or just regular, you know, needs. We need to give the student the respect that they deserve to have clean and operational restroom facilities. So there is a GEMFAC resolution that says we cannot use compact funding at schools that lack sanitation facilities. And so for this year's maintenance budget, which I think I mentioned was about $1.4 million, $1.184 million, that includes funding to work on those restrooms that the DFAT UNICEF project will not address, but it takes time. We have a limited facility staff, and we have a lot of people. On a positive note, this year the Rybrook Elementary School did get restroom facilities installed because they only had, I think, one facility for both boys and girls, and that was not a good way for them to operate. So now we did a grand opening for that in the springtime. So we're working on it, but it takes time. Thank you.
Kumol. Perwarjona kaji dengan USP. May tamaga jabtai bo mini. Igajian contribution of $60,000. That's a very generous amount. Can you explain what that is? And you're contributing $60,000 for what purpose?
Thank you, sir. Administrative cost, $60,000. This is normal operation cost for the program.
Well, not contributions.
Contribution of USP to the program.
Oh, okay. Kumol Dada, now I understand. And I other round tune and Minister Kalani Kaneo, Kumolganam, Kuba, the Bilu, and Raini. How many?
Kamol, Chairman, Ganan Kamulu, or excuse you, Gajaro, and not Gajaro, you got career and the Yoamia. Pain Marong, Nodal, Meridialo. Chairman, Ganan Kaudi, Oliver in Rado, Minister in him, Oliver, Commissioner. Oliver Reservoir in President and CMI, Oliver Reservoir and Commissioner Ranger, Reservoir and Ministry and Education, Sports and Training. Your road, Mr. Chairman, Modadagan Kaudi, Oliver Chono, Turum, Kilim Kaudi, Manet, Kabum, Kian, Olive, when Kajabarodian, Awan Kaudi, Chachong. Kajitu jinon na ijajeng arbor walling tak ang ikajeng lale chuni lo budget submission yan education human general fund chuni jen ngan community advisory board for ngan lemol jino tau jin chibugi yang ol jino tala jen kajitu ngan clarify ta cheni ni cherbal ngan ta emarong kebar the Community Advisory Board in composition one pen Manar Melele. You join Mr. Chairman Eduardo Konono vocational training, VOTEC ilo majalin. NITIJELA ke matan erro an National Training Council. Jadi kamu lo lir kencar bal ke inair. Imlo air kata air pikut mejalan abang gain gap challenges gain me kajangan phase agar menjen majar phase. Ilo an jabo ijo merong bukair certification ni. Nodan ejalo kareng vote school ilo terit. Ag mole alap kabeli penar menjen majar. Matan menoko kalla berburu kan lelok wanen ko rollablok kana gay ejalo piba. Ejalo kajide ke kabeli beripir. Emang jamarong lukun melele emar ejap walo los budget submission ya itamang ilun awruk we all of an Appropriation and NTC to feed into a strategic plan and tabar win go me nothing win go me any come one away and then another opportunity and certify the army rain may with certification ilo talagan majalin kajito koro ri kanayaro Mr. Chairman tachop kano jalap komol.
Thank you, Senator. Minister Kaneko. So the community advisory boards were written into legislation in the PSS Act of 2013. At that time, they were called the local school boards, and they had specific responsibilities. Until this time, those boards have not been fully implemented. For example, they're meant to submit annual reports every July that includes a wide range of information, and until now that hasn't happened. And over time, I think it was determined that maybe that was too much responsibility for unpaid positions. And so those morphed into something called a community advisory board, and their responsibilities then shifted into more of an advisory role for the schools. So every for example, Neighbor Island Elementary School has one of these boards, and it's comprised of people from, say, for example, local church, local municipal council, women's groups, these kind of folks. And they help the principal, for example, with PTA or school celebrations. They also certify the school lunch payments to ensure that things are happening in an ethical way. And then part of the budget for that, we have about $40,000 a year allocated for what we call meeting fees. This is $150 per quarter per school. So that meeting fee might be used for refreshments or some other kind of expenses that they come up with each quarter. And then the other funding that's associated with the community advisory boards is for training. So we have a staff of 2 right now that go to each of the neighboring islands and provide training so that those board members understand their roles and responsibilities, that they understand how to create the agendas and the meeting minutes and these sorts of things that we use as the documentation for the $150 meeting fees. Also to help them understand how they can support the schools and ensure that they're not sort of overstepping the head teachers and principals, because it's a delicate balance. But that's what the community advisory boards are. Okay, how many have we established? I believe we have them established now at all of the neighboring islands, and now they're going to focus on the urban areas. The thinking was that they were more needed, more urgently needed in the neighboring islands, because here in the urban areas, it's easier for community members to come to the headquarters if there's an urgent issue, but that's the next step, is for the urban centers. Thank you.
Commissioner.
Chairman, one more over there.
Oh, Joe.
More Minister and Kajido. Play the Bayu Darin, our program, the Kachong Tibalaway. Chuan, the American RPL, recognized prior learning. many ne charwali ben CMI giyo. CMI na kamani chuana na ikichene academic. Maji kajong incorporate like TVET ngan programming. Ruo emo jaga medar kanan kare marang ruo tului gamatolak eba trade test. Mereka manelo ailengai majalin chuan program me ko jaga ngalak. Ya bawam bajar balik ilangam experience yang budget workshop kod dengan baktejin yang karangan feeling kod yang ini kualan jangan levelan kod beri bukan bello ibadaling cilu level ke cuan levelan laut wo mid im cilu supervisor menin darjino kanang agam jetan dia cino lalel menanat tu balawem kemana ben fidi ayu jenare ngelo majali November, ebayan lab ayu jene, cuni siwa me majeli na ibu ji. Ebar laban tu leda telangan cikin cara balik cuan, eno dana kar senator ke telang pakai ke yang kuat jeli ni. Jadi mereka jene cepat bagi yara ada, jene jaya ibu jod ni partner reinar CMI USP. Nganar kacung tu balik jom mana kacung me ene cara balangan kejut. Temak uak angejam kabar kalgar dok mall.
Mall USP, please.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Just to add on to what Director NTC have presented, I believe that in our submission, USP, as part of the funding that is provided for the RMI USP Joint Education Program, we were also supposed to be providing training on workforce development skills, especially for continuous vocational education and training. We have managed to move forward with that program. So for this year, NTC have supported us under the ESSP program by providing cohorts for 5 different areas. Cohort in IT, we've just completed that 2 weeks ago, and we were able to train 15 RMI staff who are already in the workforce. And we did that over 10 months, and we provided evening programs for them. And the certificate of accounting was completed last week. The other ongoing program is the certificate in human resource management, certificate in business administration, and we've just completed the certificate in counseling. It's an 8-week program in collaboration with the PSS, where we brought in teachers from the outer islands to train all counselors in all schools in Majuro and in the outer islands. And we brought in somebody from headquarters to conduct the training for us. We also include an induction and mentoring program for the Public Service Commission. And we were able to develop a training program, induction and mentoring program that includes learner's guide, teacher's guide. We did a analysis of the PAC regulation, including the latest Workers' Compensation Act as part of that training program. And the 11-module program was presented to PAC as part of our handing over program to the chief, including the Chief Secretary's office, in collaboration with the National Training Council. It also includes a child care center where World Bank has funded the program, looking at the plight of our female members of the USP, and we were able to put that in place, including our IT center this year. Thank you.
Kumuldara round row madanod yung rally yung minute taro jipendron so yung karele round row by ichalo round jilu round row Vice Speaker Isaac man round row Senator and Chairman David Anidok.
Mall Chairman, Berodlo awan kile kuaro yang road, karena round room elektada, road kacidat, cuma kunlat, mulai kicen cakar kalau makan auto macam yang kadangin ajire ne no dami oj melala changa jo kachong par kajabarok kap ojin melalok history kainar bijala agar waleng da history majal an kadagen jabar to yalo chegana em chai chen par curriculum charbana jo na oro me dwar balong da kage kichen nuclear legacy na an kachito ko regana jelaga ne we ingran kalau kota cuma kajen kamolol charbal gen ramman an PSS ko punya ngalip ilori age ngalip kumit periem kalau gari ne cepo de pajadi nare moda
Joji mon malon gen wako.
Thank you, Senator Anotok. We have the social studies curriculum covers from kindergarten through 12th grade. And within that curriculum, there's a significant portion of it dedicated to Marshallese history, and that there are some resources that we've, over the years, developed to teach that content, including the Marshallese history book. And we're currently working on an atlas. Unfortunately, we're having some issues around copyright with the contractor that we're working with, but eventually there will be a Marshallese atlas that talks all about every atoll in the country, all of the sort of important history and sites. The nuclear legacy is taught through both of those documents, as well as through other resources such as different videos and things. And I'm happy to provide more details to anyone who would like to see. I'm happy to copy or scan pages and things. I think it's really important that even adults have access to this kind of learning, because I think many current adults in the Marshall Islands came up through the school system during a time when these topics were not taught in the way that they're being taught today. So maybe we can have a conversation on how we can do that later. But in the current budget, for sure, we are continuing to work on social studies resources that are place-based and culturally sustaining. Thank you.
Kabul Dada Commissioner. Nan reba ba orwad chuna kajidik. Enagar ro kajidik juan ina ililing dolo NITIJELA. Clarification of our custom. Pili neberi agi aga ene juan ko jawai ko juwa pangane ililing dolo NITIJELA. Mr. Minister, policy minion on government. Em kerja ko ene jene gia. Cemarong lalenge cemarong udalo jirik. Region Marshall Island Scholarship Grant and Loan Board and Marshall Island Scholarship. Period. Cholo loan na. Pe kadabara naramai nampanchuan uninan lab pajatanam. Pujen leling tak chalalo jan go ar. Tinjab kabang tujuru niri lair pigot chalalo jan. Chinlelo grant scholarship grant. Jawai ko juwa kiya najur matan recommendation ko an PAC Public Account Committee ngan pulen kaman program may and scholarship what chap loan per loan ke chap kabang wadan ilo money inchang ag enana lo bukonan scholarship well receivable. Ako kanay ba jalan naga mantau kulo aga percuan dengan karologi dengan Minister TV Paul. Ako evaluasi dengan Minister Hidron, Minister Kalani Kanego.
Mana ba komiro jelo dengan yo ruto lo jen komiro. Chairman Komol aga dan ngajilale totalin pajadian MOEST. Labalakana yin radimyon .1 million. Chairman ngi marong kajiri ben kajojo romel won la increase lo budget ko air kajojo royeng jari ber mari ke increase in budget yo ilo ijo rojer rogi kala je ngi kala ya Jogojat. Ramarong ko along kamidin. Tago cheni loi meni yalablog improvement. Cheni kakaman malap charwalo ami jeng pe armijen mayal ren lege ke cheni nai ral projen bar adalangan ministerian jalalo jam chamarong orjirik tago komengani kamani yang labalago ko tangan improve igijen area ko komenga jeriogi kachita ko rin chairman komol
Minister Malot.
Komol chairman and barko de joduan kami de kachita ko manjen ministerin lo mol labalawan chairman jodo jan unfunded liability karne bijar ijo jogi enot kameme rarjam matan budget haralak didok kan kapi kira real matok akai cholak kachida ke ai wilang godak lo chongon chenin kachid meno alikarin lo chongon chenin emeron jab ko bai chena jab ko bai chena ai wilang godak emelang aru jerro rapta da kamnyang lo chigin jala rujar bakam jangan lo jare akai lengyang labalokane enot wawin kana merar puk chigir jadi kauman olak monen mangai didok mangai kana ragal ngana ajiri kajarabal pula percadero ko merari dok ngan cegin lagi dok cegini kure kan ragal dok ella jara ki alap labala ko nan cibang kan ngan private school cibang kan ngan scholarship alibin wawin ngan reidom lagi ju ko bai pendron dok ngan chongan labala ko ne meche jiloy hanga ko ne la budget cycle em jan gar walak chongan siling ko jar kacem jar wali em wak kacirgawin cakap company kan ayu jikane cek connect chen chuan chen me yakaruterin akia chen ayu jin pugot kile ne remala emi remala ke cep pugot iwat aglia tak bakam jangan balale tayo cemerong company ngan kakajur lo charbal ke ini ke chen chala lo jo me wa kacirgam kumol
Kumolem lukun irin ana yelogi yenin dengan Minister David Paul.
Saya komol la chair kanam kile ke jorom ini perinjuan cara wilawla balang ngiban kan ke eberl adan language commission ujin sisi lisi kata nerpa. Aku ikanan roji cuan rorum lalem ke jume ke ngan commission nai.
Yuber.
Ewa, kemelat mangin ke roko yar kedemi, top kenom. Ewa, ini kejam lagi ini Mr. Chairman, komol.
Komol kan kejam lana. Ini kejam ke? Ewa. Kejam lok yarong ngaraj, an kemidin impen. Chicken jala loyan, Minister itu ko ada jenis mall kan, kami yang kerja itu Oliver Rain me rari ke ini human ministry am, jadi pun kamu mall lalu helam mela lalu jadi pergi kial kan ralep, ini jadi cerbal kanan cala loyan. Peran oleh kamu dengan kumjang alip dengan ranjiwan cugulin ranjiwan ubi gencet ancala loyan kumujang alipun kanu jenam mall ejam lok emeri lok earring ada yang iluat dengan rainin ke jalan ketar ya cinta lebih David Paul kemarin jualnya jam kerja ilorane iliju cuanawa NC ruawa EPSO bikuat ciluawa PSC emenawa EPA mangkanya jenmol